Live from virtual Brooklyn, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight we get set to go racing for the Great Lakes 180 here at the Michigan International Speedway. My name is Ola Rempel, and tonight I am joined by, once again, DJ Clark, and together we'll bring you all of the coverage here tonight from start to finish of race number 18 in the TNGG IEL Truck Series. DJ, it's been a few weeks, and there's been a lot that's happened since you've been away. We've got new names, new faces on the race course, and some of them have been really making a lot of noise, especially the likes of Matt Cherry and Badger Racing, who capped off Badger Racing 1-2 just 1 week ago at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth there, Nolan. That is the big storyline coming on in, is Badger Racing and how they're going to be able to do now. If practice is any indication of what their ability is, it is certainly looking good for Matt Cherry here today, topping practice times. But as qualifying gets their way underway, looks like it's not the best run for them, but still, they have proved in their very short time in the series that they are a force to be reckoned with.
As well as that, we've had that championship battle pick on up as well. Over the last week or so, Christopher Howell was not able to make the race start over in Tennessee just 1 week ago. That has allowed Aaron Raymond to retake the points lead by just 30 points. Now, Christopher Howell is present tonight. He's going to be looking to close that gap down. It remains a two-horse race up in front with Brad Slago now almost 100 points behind the points leader up in that Camping World number 6 Chevy Silverado. Down to the field, you can see it's a huge point spread at this point, over 500 back to the 18th place driver for RJ Buchanan, as all the points trends have really kind of settled into fine form here in this championship. You still got a lot of fights in the midfield, though, that have yet to be decided.
Yeah, you certainly do, and you can see those very, very tight distances looking down at even 23rd, 24th, just how close they are. 3, 2, 1, even tied on points all the way down through the order. Really sets up for a lot of these drivers to have a strong second half of the series, and they're certainly going to want to try to put it all on the line here at Michigan, a track where really and truly just about anybody can walk away with this thing.
It is very much a draft-heavy track, and that's been so apparent in series like the Speed Cup Series and the Yo Mesorel Xfinity Series that have had their runs here over in the last few weeks as well. And I'm expecting it to be absolutely no different here in this one. More draft-heavy racing, and I think, who knows, we could be seeing potentially a new winner on the course of the night. We've already got a new pole sitter. James Mooen currently sits on the top with provisional pole for now, with only 2 drivers left to put down qualifying laps here in this session.
Yeah, looking pretty good here at this point. Some of the usual names up at the top, Aaron Raymond, Christopher Howell up there as well. We talked about Matt Cherry, currently in 9th place, but only about 97 thousandths of a second off of that top time. That'll certainly put them into contention and show that they've got the speed to be able to try to work this out.
We got nobody on the track at the moment. We've got about 2 minutes left before we take things to the grid, so we'll take a jump back, and we'll be right back. And when we get back, we'll go right into how everything's going to line up for 90 laps of racing action around this 2-mile behemoth.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Less than 30 seconds remain before we get things underway for 90 laps of action and 180 miles around the Michigan International Speedway. Still have had nobody else take it to the racetrack. Providing all drivers start this race, we'll be looking at a 22 truck field for racing here in this one. A bit bigger than we've had in the last few weeks, and that's something we love to see at a much bigger racetrack. Should make for the pack race to be that much more exciting as well. But the checker flag will fall on qualifying here from the TNGG IEL Truck Series. So let's go down track side. We'll take a rundown of what your starting grid will look like for the Great Lakes 180. Starting on pole position, it is going to be none other than James Mullen up on the top for Team Extreme Racing. Aaron Raymond will line it up on that number 2 spot. You've got Christopher Howe for Average Joe Motorsports down in 3rd. Robert Jordan sits in 4th. John Bualda will be in 5th for Jack Dow Motorsports. Mike Allen for Team Alpha 1 will be in 6th. Dylan Simmons out of the Virginias will be in 7th, with Dale Rapp out of Ohio in 8th. Badger Racing's Matt Sherrill will be in 9th. John Holliday, home track hero, going to be starting it up to round out the top 10, DJ.
In 11th place, it's going to be Chris Gore, followed by Julian Ballou there in 12th. Moving down through the field into 13th, it's Thomas Lane Jr., followed by Ryan McRoberts. Brad Slagle lines up in 15th, followed by Patrick Schamberger. Then it's Greg Pyler and Robert Amaro in 18th. Jack Stanley lines up 19th, followed by Philip Isaacs, with Bill Hales and RJ Buchanan rounding out the back of this 22-car grid.
That is how your field's going to line on up as they start to file their way out of pit road. And it's going to be an intense restart for these drivers. 2, 3, even 4 wide action has been the forecast overall throughout the last few weeks on Green Flag TV whenever we've visited this absolutely incredible racetrack. And we're expecting it to be no different here in this one. It's good track temp for a 2, and only 96 degrees Fahrenheit down to the surface. That's about optimal temperatures for racing here.
Yeah, it's just about perfect. And the other thing to keep our eyes on there, look at that 68% humidity. Now, that means that the air is going to be a little bit thicker at track level, and that's going to increase the efficacy of the draft, as is that 7 miles an hour worth of wind speed. Watch for the crosswind to throw these drivers off just a little bit through the corners, but down the back straightaway, they should be getting a headwind, and that should make the draft even more powerful.
That wind blowing almost directly down, well, actually it was directly down to the south for a little while. It's kind of hovering between kind of south-southwest for a little bit, but mostly pointed directly down to the south. So that's going to make it with that great headwind down that back straightaway. And of course that means tailwinds down the front stretch through the D oval. So it's going to get interesting coming off of turn number 4, I reckon, because that's where these cars are going to be buffing around the most when they're getting up on that pedal. For now, though, this field will work its way through turn numbers 3 and 4. And once again, we are happy that you could join us here tonight for some amazing racing on Green Flag TV on a beautiful Saturday night. The pace truck is in a pit road. Leave it in the hands of first-time pulse hitter for XPM. James Mullen takes it to the Geico restart zone. Green flag's out. We are underway in Brooklyn. Trouble, a couple trucks into the wall, and Gore spinning down into pit road. High speed slide for the 72 Silverado. On a caution flag number 1, and apologies for the technical difficulties that we just had over here on the racetrack as we were fighting some technical gremlins down behind the scenes. We should have everything up and sorted now, though, so we'll be able to kind of jump back. We'll show you first off what happened to Chris Gore on the green flag restart there, and then we'll show you what ended up happening to bring out yellow flag number 1. As I understand, that was not caught in the stream. So Matt Cherry comes off the wall after avoiding John Bualda Jr. That's what sent Gore sliding in the high-speed slide down to the pit road. Did an amazing job, though, keep that off the inside wall. And this is what happened to Patrick Schamberger to put us under caution flag number 1.
And you can see just a little bit of that close running that we were talking about. Schamberger probably just feeling a little bit of nerves here at this point in the race, and that's what sent him around and brought out the caution flag here again. That first incident you saw because Buchanan came down, or because the 72 came down into pit lane for Chris Gore, not bring out the yellow. However, Schamberger did on that last one.
So that's what puts us under caution flag number 1 on just the 3rd lap of running in this race. We'll be restarting on lap number 6. I guess that was a good point for us to have technical difficulties. You didn't miss too much, so we'll be able to get things back rolling here without too much of a problem, and we'll see what attempt number 2 of this restart will look like. Not a whole lot of action going on down on pit road. A few drivers came down, notably Cherry came down to the lane. I know Dale Rapp, Holiday, Hales, and more were all down indeed. So about, I want to say about 14th on back came down, but only for fuel stops, unless you're Bill Hales, who took 2 sets of tires. Interesting call, considering these guys are short one set for this race.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by the tire call. I'm not surprised by the fuel call. Just try to go a little bit off sequence, give yourself a little bit of breathing room when it comes to that fuel strategy and be able to extend a little bit more on into the next stint. That's a good call for me. But, yeah, the tire strategy, I don't think you've really warned them enough here at this point to really warrant taking a fresh set of boots.
Not after only 3 laps, green flag running that least. There was only 2 on the right, though, so we'll see if that'll result anything down on the racetrack. Schamberger, understandably, took 4 fresh tires. He's the one that went for that high-speed spin down the front straightaway. Meanwhile, James Boone, your pole sitter on the afternoon, will be able to take us down into the restart zone, and we'll get things back to green flag racing here in a very short order. So pace truck is down and in. We're back into the Geico restart zone, and we're back to green flag racing from Brooklyn.
Looks like a pretty good getaway there from the front 3. They're going to start breaking away just a little bit. Dylan Simmons trying to figure out what line he wants to take there behind in 4th place, with Robert Jordan and Brad Slagle trying to slot themselves in as well.
Bit of 3 wide action going on further into the background, but Boone going to pull clear here from that race lead. Sticking to the inside, a run with Christopher Howell. Aaron Raymond trying to charge up from the top. Everybody trying to siphon up into the outside lane. But Aaron Raymond, without any help on that top side, is not going to be able to challenge for the lead. Howell keeping it pinned onto the bottom lane. Dylan Simmons just in the mix as well, trying to see if he can make a lunge for the podium, as he has to go down to cover off the likes of Robert Jordan right behind.
Yeah, I was noticing Jordan had a pretty good run up on that high side, and I thought he was going to be able to help out the number 6 of Aaron Raymond, but it just looked like that momentum stalled here at this point. Now, though, because the number 7 machine moved up onto that high lane, it did nothing but help out Christopher Howell, and now he's right back into the fight.
Back to the fight we go. Aaron Raymond will give a nudge to the back of the XPM number 7 Silverado as we hightail it down the back straightaway and in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Howell will pull clear down and towards turns 3 and 4 as well. Will become our first lead change of the night. With Aaron Raymond so far on the back foot. Good run for Howell here if he wants to try to take that points lead back.
Yeah, Howell on a good charge here, going to position himself up at the front of the field. Now, the one thing he is going to have to worry about running in the front is the fact that he's the one breaking the air for everybody, and that means that he's going to be using more fuel as a result. On a massive draft-heavy track like this, fuel saving could be a little bit of a key.
Could be a key, and we'll keep tabs on the fuel numbers here as time goes along. And this is a multi-pit stop race. We're expecting minimum 2 stops, possibly 3. If the fuel calls for. Dylan Simmons setting the fastest lap that last time by with a 39.74. Tying that up actually with Christopher Howell, so separate by only a few thousandths on the fastest lap chart. So that one goes to show just how competitive this field is at the moment. And in fact, make that a 3-way tie for the fastest lap as Jack Stanley just matched them on that 100 sport as well.
Yeah, and there's some really good speed farther back in this field. They just need to try to catch on up to this lead here at this point. It's going to be very, very close running. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a photo finish out here the way these drivers are starting to get their elbows out a little bit.
Oh, that would be so nice. We've gone so far without a photo finish at Michigan. We came very, very close to after one. Mexico Xfinity Series before there was that last lap tango with the likes of Michael Kenner and Kyle Green. That's all both of them slamming the outside wall in turn 1. And then, of course, Holden McGill took the win in that race. I would love to see that, though, here in the Truck Series. They've been good on photo finishes. Thinking back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where the finish was about 4,000 of a second. Closest finish in league history right there, where Aaron Raymond got out-dragged and dominated the race with a checker finish.
Yeah, and there you see a little bit of almost coming together there between Aaron Raymond and Dylan Simmons coming down the back straightaway. Again, that buffeting a little bit because of the crosswind. Oh, almost contact there. They've got to keep themselves together as these are fresh tires. That's going to get a lot more squirrely later on in the run.
I think they might have actually made a bit of a touch there down in turn numbers 3 and 4. You see how much momentum Raymond's lost. That almost allowed Robert Jordan to move for a pass. You saw him look for it. He opted against it, though. He'll instead try to attack from the high side. He's actually going to get the nose in on the outside lane as well. And whoa, has to keep it off the wall as a result. So Jordan having to pedal that 74 off of turn numbers 3 and 4, 1 and 2. Already Raymond looking to pinch that 74 up, not wanting to give up a top 5.
Yeah, not wanting to give it up here at this point, and I think that's really because he doesn't want to lose momentum. If you've got to pedal off here a little bit, back off, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of a train and drivers just running on by you, and so that's the impetus there. But the 74 of Robert Jordan now holding on the back here of Aaron Raymond for dear life, but they've got to watch out. Thomas Lane Jr. and Brad Slagle dive down to the inside.
Brad Slagle, of course, the number 3 points runner as it stands almost 100 points back from Raymond and Howell. He was leading the points in the first 5 or so races, and then, of course, the consistency for Howell and Raymond started to pick up, which is what saw Slagle start to slip further and further back. If Howell and Raymond could have just a couple of off weeks, though, that throws Slagle right back into title contention. So while he may be almost 100 points out, he's by no means out of the fight just yet, considering we've still got over 10 races to go in the series.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got plenty of time left to go, so it's not like he's going to have to throw it all away here at this moment. He can be a little bit more cautious as he runs, just making sure that he knows where to try to pick up those points. So we watch him down to the low side here, trying to be able to sort themselves out down the back straightaway.
Trying to sort things out, and Jack Stanley, one of the newcomers to the series this week as well, running way up on the high side, and he is by far the hard charger of this race, plus 10 on the day. He was one of the last trucks to put down a qualifying lap as well. So Jack Stanley making a lot of noise in his first race in the AIM Optism Toyota Tundra, and he's definitely capable, it looks like, of threatening some of the front runners.
Yeah, certainly is. He's just got to build up that speed. Again, not wanting to throw everything away here early on. You've got to kind of build into it and let the momentum carry you around Michigan. If you try to be too aggressive, you're actually going to find yourself scrubbing speed over the course of a run.
How about Patrick Schamberger as well on a recovery drive? He was the cause of yellow flag number 1. Found himself still in the lead lap, took that faster pair, and now right back into the fray. He's looking to apply the pressure on Chris Gore to go for that top 10. He currently has it here. He'll come across start finish. I believe he will get clear by the time they reach turn numbers 1 and 2, courtesy of that draft given to him by Brad Slagle. So for Chris Gore, it's a good recovery drive, Patrick Schamberger's a good recovery drive. Just got to hope that he can get things sorted further up down the line as the race goes along. Meanwhile, in the background, there's a whole lot of side-by-side battle as well. Buvalda, Hales, Pillar, and more. And this is causing them to lose touch with that leading pack of Pillar.
Yeah, Mike Allen here, the leader of that car, of this pack in the teal and white number 60 machine. That gap is up at about 1.1 seconds. Now, that is absolutely crucial and critical here at this point, Nolan. If that extends up to about 1.2, 1.3 seconds, that's draft loss. We've got a yellow.
Robert Amaro spinning down. He'll slam into the inside pit wall, and he's not the only one, as Greg Pillar also body slams the outside wall. That's caution flag number 2 on lap 17, and now I think we're going to be seeing a lot more trucks coming down pit road for the first time tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We're about roughly, give or take, a quarter of the way into this race. My math was never that good, so we're just going to have to trust me on that. But at this point in the race, I think come down, get a little bit fueled up. Maybe think about making that tire change. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers making a 2-tire call here at this point, but we'll have to see.
And this is what happened with Amaro and Pillar as Dale Rapp is the one that looked at Pillar. Looked like they just came around, and Amaro was sent into the infield by Philip Isaac, who just had nowhere to go in that whole mess, as he was kind of left again to the bit of no man's land. As going to ride on board with Amaro. You can tell the 18 of Philip Isaac wasn't expecting Amaro to go down the racetrack, and that's a harsh angle into that inside wall.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. You know, just a avoidance maneuver just for self-preservation there at that point, trying to dive down to the inside and obviously catching the grass. And obviously the grass here on iRacing, as it is at several tracks around the world, very, very slippery. Absolutely no traction there, and so just kind of lost it. It looked like he came in at a bit of an angle, and that angle just continued on through the corner.
Right now, all the pit stops are said and done. We'll get a look on board with the number 18. We'll see what he saw throughout all of this. Meanwhile, Christopher Howell, sure enough, will be leading pretty much the entirety of this field in for service. I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing anybody that's not going to take 2 tires, fuel only. Much like the driver Bill Hales staying out. So far, answer is no. Everybody that pitted out of that first yellow flag pitted again for their second bout of pit stops here for about half the field of the first bout for the top half.
Yeah, and I think here that decision is just because you know you've got to go a little bit farther on fuel, trying to keep an eye on the trucks as they come down. A couple of them taking at least right side tires here. Looks like the majority of the field looks like there's one driver out and on their way. That's going to be no tires taken. That's Matt Cherry.
Matt Cherry not taking any tires. 2-tire stop for Aaron Raymond. Not surprised there. He's always the one to go for that 2-tire strategy. 4 for Howell, 4 for Simmons, 4 for Nguyen. I think none for Schamberger. It's a very split call up and down. I think the main split, though, is between fuel only and 4 tires, although Julian Ballou and Aaron Raymond, I believe, took 2 tires. They might be the only ones that took 2 tires, in fact. Pretty much the way I judge it, if it's over 10 seconds, you're probably taking tires of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be, I think, the call there at that point for them. If you're looking at about probably 14, 15, even 17 seconds, if you are taking both sets of tires, if you're going to be around the 11-second mark, that's a call to me of 1 set of tires.
Get that look back on board with Philip Isaac coming off of turn numbers 3 and 4. We'll see what he saw throughout all of this. This wreck develops just up in front of him. See Joe Rapp gets that run, trying to make that look. So this is about a lap early, so a bit early on the call for that one. But once again, a bit early. We got the time, though. You can see all the fierce fighting, though, that was going on in the secondary pack coming on down towards turn numbers 3 and 4. And just how much, you can visibly hear how much it was slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear how much they're having to back out of the throttle. They're running 3 wide. That's never going to be the optimum line around the track here. And Rapp, I think it's a simple matter if he just thought he was clear. And, ooh, that's the reason why we saw that machine down to the inside. I thought that was a little bit of running into the grass. Didn't realize there was some secondary contact there.
Now, you can't even fault Philip Isaac for that. I mean, he's as far down. There's nowhere else he can go. That's just a case of 2 drivers trying to avoid a wreck, going for the exact same piece of real estate. It's bound to happen sooner or later when you get to major tracks like this one. It's just a shame it had to happen. The drivers so far back in the field.
Yeah, exactly. When they're fighting for positions like that, when they're just trying to be able to hold on to the back of the pack there, sometimes that's going to raise a little bit of the adrenaline. You've got to be thinking, I can't let this slip away from me, and so that's going to cause a little bit more of those actions, I think.
Could not agree with you more on that. When adrenaline runs high, the higher the speed of the track is, the narrower the track is. And this track looks wide, right? 3, 4 lanes. Once trucks start spinning out, though, it seems to half itself in terms of width. And you're not left with too many options to go. I can tell you right now, Isaac knew how slippery the grass was. That's why he wasn't even go down there either. It was a mess. And by the time he would have had the chance, it was already too late. Pace truck is off. We'll go back to green flag racing here. Now with Matt Cherry to take the lead on a fuel-only strategy.
Let's see how well that's going to play out for him here. We don't really know what this tire wear is going to be like, but at least like some of the drop of the green flag, he's going to be in good position, able to control that field. Aaron Raymond chasing.
Raymond chasing, shoots for the inside, and he's going to make quick work of the MPI number 48, Badger Racing Tundra, down off of turn number 2 to the the back straightaway. Blocking, here comes Howell looking for the middle. He's going to get into Aaron Raymond. They make contact. We're 3 wide for the lead down to the turn numbers 3 and 4.
Here they go. This is exactly the kind of action we were anticipating here at Michigan. Look at that. Howell making the big move to the outside. Now down to the inside. Here comes Dylan Simmons.
Dylan Simmons going for the race lead, and it would be one of his first on-track laps, not courtesy of pit strategy all season long as well. Raymond and Howell still fighting fiercely with one another. Simmons hanging there on the bottom, but still 3 wide for the lead. Jumping around in turn numbers 1 and 2. Somebody tell these folks we still got 70 laps left. Raymond hard into the wall, and that's got major championship implications as the field scrambles to the back straightaway. Somehow, everybody gets around that.
Somehow they do, but that car has seen better days to be sure. Smoke coming out of the back right now, and that is exactly the problem. If you're trying to run 3-4 wide, even if you're up at the front of the field here at this point, just getting yourself into trouble.
Boy, that truck is destroyed. Thankfully, these trucks do have one quick repair that they have access to, so we'll be able to see Raymond make full use out of that, I imagine. That was a heavy whack, though, into the outside wall, and it's one of the worst angles you can really go into that wall in the process. We'll get another look at this one. It looked like he just kind of cleared himself. Howell had a run and just couldn't check up in time.
Yeah, and that's the momentum carried around there from the exit of the curbs there. And you saw some secondary impact as well on the rear end of that truck, causing a little bit of damage as well. But that's what you've got to watch out for. Even if you are on fresh rubber, these cars will want to drift up the track a little bit. Oh, yeah, just couldn't check himself up, couldn't clear himself in time. And there you can see the 1-2 ping pong that kind of happened.
I believe that may have been Schamberger, 15 that ran over him. We'll get a ride on board with Schamberger to confirm that. Up turn number 2. It was hard to the outside wall. Oh, no, it was not. It was, I can't get a feeling who that was, but I know somebody had it. I think it might have been Jordan.
I think it may have been as well. I think it was that number 74. It wasn't a direct T-bone style contact. It was a little bit of a glancing blow there, but sort of that 1-2 bop there getting hit for Aaron Raymond. Let's see if we take a look on board Robert Jordan right now. This is all going to take place in front of him. No, nope. He's going to be able to avoid it as well. We just keep playing, picking different numbers here.
Thomas Lane? No, we'll figure it out later on. We got a couple trucks into pit road. Raymond, understandably, among them. Got John Holiday down into pit road as well. AC, quick repair in play. Now Raymond doesn't have that saving grace, though, later on. We get down to where it really gets interesting in the last 20 laps.
Yeah, exactly. With the spate of yellows that we've seen here at this point, I'm not sure what the rest of this race is going to look like. They're going to hopefully be able to keep this green, but with all of the incidents that we've seen here at this point, these drivers need to check themselves a little bit. This is still a long race. We've still got more than half of this thing left to go, and with everybody getting into the wall, they got to be careful.
One more look. We'll slow it down. Raymond pushes up, just clears Christopher Howell, and that sends him head on into that outside wall in a huge hit. It was Thomas Lane Jr., the 38, that got into him, and then possibly one more sliding back down. Looks like everything ended up being sorted on the way back across the racetrack. Well, I want to get a look on board, though, with our friend there, Christopher Howell. We'll see what he saw throughout all of this deal, working down in towards turn number 1. And we'll see if he had time to check up, but I don't think he did.
I'm not really sure if he did as well. Let's see. He's just going to get that little bit of a slide right in front of him there, and then Raymond has to sort of check himself up to be able to stop sliding up the track. And, yeah, that was a little bit of just a rock and a hard place to be in there at that point.
Cannot stress enough how fantastic of a work it was by this field to drive around Raymond. That easily could have been a 10-11 truck pileup that took out half of our field, and somehow everybody, bar Lane, managed to get around that spinning number 6.
Yeah, really impressive avoidance there from the field to be able to do that. I've got to give them massive, massive props.
It's top quality driving you got here. We went caution-free the last 2 weeks at Kentucky and the Nashville Super Speedway. It was kind of inevitable, I guess, in that sense, that we had at least a few cautions here in Michigan. But hey, well, the green flag runs were nice as we lasted. I think overall, longest green flag run all season long, lasted over 2 races.
Yeah, indeed. I think it did here at this point. So here they're going to bring it back around again, and we're going to try to do this again, see if this is going to work. Hopefully they'll calm themselves down a little bit, and we'll get back to some green flag running through the rest of it.
made it a couple of laps that last time by. Dylan Simmons down. Half-race lead in the number 14 Tundra as Pace Truck will once again work its way down and into pit road. And we'll get back to green flag running here as we'll kick things off. Geico Restart Zone has it with Dylan Simmons right in tow. And we're back to green.
All right, here they go. Looks a little bit more neat and orderly up at the front of the field. Matt Cherry going to be following behind Simmons. Here comes a little, behind Simmons. Here comes a little bit of that fan out as Christopher Howe tries to find it. That's going to be the 7 and the 74 behind as well.
That would be Robert Jordan building up on top. So he's being swamped by 2 drivers that have a 7 in their number right about now. Matt Cherry pushing Simmons clear, but he's not going to play nice for long. Cherry to the inside, trying to take his lead, and he's going for his first win in TNGG competition.
And that first win is going to be something that is going to be on the back of his mind. You can't be thinking about it this early on in the race, but it will be something that'll carry on a little bit and that you'll be thinking about, maybe I can break that duck here. Maybe that means he'll be a little bit more aggressive as we get into the closing stages.
Trey will maintain his run of the race lead, but he's not yet clear. Dylan Simmons tracking through on the top. Howe once again looked for the middle line, but there was no room. This time he'll back out. Robert Jordan runs to that 4th spot on the bottom. Got 2 car tandems going on over here, and now it's Jordan's turn to try to pinch it for Howe up. Escape it to the 3rd lane.
Yeah, he's going to go into the 3rd lane there at that point. We are ants marching at this point, 2 by 2 by 2, down through the field as they try to fan themselves out, coming across the start-finish line.
Some great racing we're getting as of right now as we work down in towards turn numbers 1 and 2. It's a fierce dogfight for the race lead, just like we were expecting it would be when you get into a massive race like this one at a huge draft-heavy track. Cherry clears off right in front of Dylan Simmons, making a 3-truck tandem for a moment down the back straightaway. Howe will look for the inside, but he can do absolutely nothing against the bump drafting between the top 2.
Yep, and that's going to be the big key here today, is getting that bump draft to play, getting that to work out right, finding a good dancing partner. Simmons has got to watch out a little bit. The car's going to run up the track. Contact!
Down into the infield grass. Caution number 4. And Dylan Simmons will take that one down, and he'll be our 4th yellow flag of the night. And again, great drive from this field to not have a massive incident. But holy cow, it got physical, and already we've gotten more yellow flags than the last 4 races combined.
Yeah, and I think that's just Michigan. It's these speeds that we are dealing with here at this point. Remember, this is a 2-mile circuit here, Nolan, with very inducive banking to high speeds, and it's not like we're running necessarily at Daytona or Talladega where restrictor plates and things are brought in to bring these speeds back. This is one of the fastest ovals you will run anywhere.
It's actually faster for the trucks than Daytona, Talladega because they don't have restrictor plates. At those tracks, they're restricted about, 170, 180 miles an hour? These trucks are hitting 190 plus on their own here, let alone in the draft.
Exactly, and so those high speeds, even just the most infinitesimal jerk of the steering wheel, even if it's just maybe even a mere centimeter over to the right, that has massive implications not only for your car and how it's handling, but for how it's going to affect the rest of the field around you.
We got a look on what happened to Dylan Simmons that last time by, coming onto the front straightaway. Just hooks together with Matt Cherry and slides the inside. Brad Slagle had to really scramble to avoid the swim mess, and Slagle did a phenomenal job to get back onto the racetrack without causing a monumental incident of his own right. I believe Brad Slagle will be able to maintain his positioning from that, but fairly cut and dry. Again, just 2 trucks going for the same piece of real estate.
Yeah, and that's just what we're seeing here at this point. I mean, it's just drivers with a little bit of miscommunication. I think they're not really factoring into taking into account the massive speeds that we're dealing with and just how aero-sensitive some of these cars are appearing to be.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's tough to kind of adjust your strategies when you're at such high speeds like you get here in Michigan, or even at Auto Club. Is another great example of a track where you can get up to some high speeds that you can really underestimate. And I think that's why Michigan although it can provide some of the most exciting racing, it's also one of the most volatile tracks in terms of cautions, precautions. I would say second only to Martinsville.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that because this is a track that the field can get a little bit more spread out if you run up at full chat for a couple of laps. And when that happens, then this will settle into a rhythm. But if you keep getting these yellows, the field just keeps bunching back up and you put yourself again and again and again into that danger zone.
Well, we had our first caution flag on lap number 3. We made it to about lap 17. Then we had another one just 2 laps after that, and then we went 5 this time before we got our 4th yellow flag of the evening. So we'll see if we make it potentially to halfway, I think, would be ideal. Or hit yellow flag number 5. Well, I guess ideally at this point would be none at all. You know, we mentioned before, I mean, this is not a series that is used to having these types of cautions, precaution races. The most cautions we've had so far all season, you know, again, was 12 cautions at Martinsville. But considering that's 200 laps, that's a really good number for Martinsville, as anybody on iRacing will ever tell you.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a pretty darn good way to get around Martinsville if you're able to actually pull it off. So kudos there to all of the drivers for making it work. But I've got to tell you, I'm not surprised. And don't walk away from here thinking that these drivers are lacking talent, lacking belief, lacking anything like that. This is just the nature of racing a track like Michigan.
Michigan, it brings out the wild side in any league. It's done that in speed. It's done that in OSRL. It's doing that tonight flawlessly in TNGG. So we'll be able to work our way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Lights are out. We'll get set to unleash the crazy all over again as this field still 22 trucks strong. Nobody has yet retired despite the attrition we've been seeing so far. That's all something that you love to see. Base truck is down and in. We'll leave it once again to the hands of Christopher Howell to take us to the restart.
Oh, Howell hauled him up there a little bit late. That's going to give a chance for Matt Cherry to come up behind him and give him a nice little push there in the number 48. Ooh, almost contact there for P2 between the 7 and 48.
Well, it almost didn't take long. We're going 3, 4 wide. Further in the field as everybody's scrambling on this restart as something's got this field jacked up now. And they almost dragged her down first into turn 1, then off to turn number 2 for the lead. Howell still holds around the top side, and that little caution on the front stretch not phasing Cherry the slightest as he'll try to attack the turn.
I like what I saw there from the 7, giving a nice little healthy bump draft coming down the back straightaway. That's going to give that outside line a little bit of an edge. We may need to see that from the lower line here with Cherry and Jordan as well, but watch out for Brad Slagle in the 052. He's about to enter into this equation.
Brad Slagle, he's a driver that has been looking to go back to victory lane for so long. He's looking to get a podium for a while as well. At this point, Coach, you really want to beat mixed up with all this chaos up here at the front. Oh, we got trouble in the background. Buchanan hard into the wall, and Chris Gore sent airborne out of turn number 2.
Oh, that's going to be a hard hit there for him. And that is going to be a very, very rough day. That's the second time we've seen that car in a little bit of trouble. The 99 also involved in that as well, RJ Buchanan.
And this is where it all went wrong. Coming out of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. 3 wide, and oh man, it started from the bottom, I think, with Dale Rapp.
Yeah, I think it did as well. I think Dale maybe have just drove that car a little bit too deep into the latter stages of turn 2, and it started to wash up the track a little bit. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, it was Buchanan that did it, not Rapp.
Yeah, and Rapp didn't even have anything to do with that. It looked like that was actually Ryan McRoberts that had a helping hand at all of that. So we'll jump back one more time. We'll get a better look at all of this as this again coming on down in towards turn numbers 1 and 2. You can see Ryan McRoberts right behind. He's another newer driver, just started racing a couple weeks ago. He tries for an outside move, got into Buchanan a bit there, and then yeah, Buchanan just came up the track.
Yeah, I think Buchanan in that situation needed to maybe throttle down a little bit. He may have been slightly out of control. I'd actually be interested to see an on board there with Buchanan to see what his hands were doing coming through the corner, because I think that little bit of contact with the 21 of Ryan McRoberts may have unsettled the car. Let's keep an eye here on the hands. Let's see if he was out of control or if that car just got a little bit of understeer and drifted up the track.
You heard him feather it. I think lot of wheel movement, but he did feather the throttle, so I think he was just tracking tight.
Yeah, I think he was as well. I think he was tracking tight, as you said, and just couldn't pull it around. But a tough break there for him. It looks like Ryan McRoberts has been down into pit lane and is back out again. We've got about the second half of the field here all coming in and taking more tire stops.
Only the top 7 staying out, and it's looking to be fuel only for a lot of this field. In fact, the first driver taking tires was actually Schamberger, down to the number 15. He likes to be running about that 15th spot, and as well as that, I see Rapp taking tires, possibly repairs as well. Buchanan, he got a full set of fuel and 4 tires, may as well. You're getting faster anyway, so why not just take the whole kit and caboodle while you're at it. McRoberts taking 4 as well. I'm not surprised to see the guys involved in this wreck taking tires. I'm a bit surprised nobody else did, though, considering we're about 10 laps away from halfway at this point.
Yeah, we're pretty close here at this point, so I am a little bit surprised to see that as well, but clearly, considering pretty much everybody did it here at this point, that appears to be the dominant strategy, and that's the way to go.
We are under caution flag number 5 now for the Great Lakes 180 of the Michigan International Speedway. So as we work, lap 35, headed to 36, I believe we'll be going green on lap 37. We'll take a quick jump back. You're watching the TNGG IEL Truck Series on Great Flag TV. Welcome back to Green Flag TV. If you're just joining us, we're under caution flag number 5. My name is Lola Rempel with DJ Clark beside me in the broadcast booth, and it has been a night. It has been something else entirely, and shockingly, despite all of the attrition and all the hard wrecks we've seen, still have all the 22 trucks not only in this race, but on the lead lap.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just because of the length and distance around this circuit. It really and truly is proven here to be a race of attrition, not necessarily falling back down through the order, but just a matter of holding on.
We'll see if these guys can hold on for a bit longer this time around. They've been hard-pressed to get in the green flag running in. We'll see if they'll do it on 5th time's the charm. Green flag is back in the air. This field hightails it back down towards turn numbers 1 and 2. Christopher Howell on the inside, James Moon on the outside. It's now it's now an Average Joe Motorsports 1-2 duo running the bottom.
All right, and now maybe that we've got some teammates working together, we're going to get some better radio communication in between the two. They'll hopefully work together and try to keep this a little bit clean.
Brad Slagle giving that bump draft to teammate Howell up the road, looking sure to push him towards the front of this field. Look out, huge crash, hard to the outside wall. Jordan involved, the 51 is involved as well, sliding down the racetrack, and that's going to almost send Rapp and Pillar around as Julian Ballou, the other truck that slammed the outside wall, and Jordan can't even turn.
Oh, very, very tough impact there. And again, as we said before, cautions breeding cautions. This field just stacked up on top of one another, and these kind of things coming into play.
Oh, boy. That was sudden as well. That hook to the left came out of nowhere. The field's going to take us around into turn numbers 3 and 4, and DJ, I'll let you walk us through it.
Well, here we go. We've got 3 cars pretty much in a line and just a little bit of ping pong there. That looked like it could have been from a little bit of maybe a miscalculated bump draft there, potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but you saw movement down to the left-hand side of the circuit and then whap, right back up as the car just corrected itself and got a little bit more grip.
We'll get a look at this one here. Coming on down, there you see Julian Ballou. Looked like he tried to come up to make the corner. And that's what kind of caused him to get to the side of Aaron Raymond as they slammed hard into the outside wall. Dale Rapp and Greg Pillar having to shoot into the infield grass. They nearly found themselves in a bad way as well throughout all of this.
Yeah, and again, massive credit to the rest of the field there on that. With 2 cars spinning out like you saw there at that point on a run like that, for them to be able to do that, absolutely crazy that everybody was able to avoid.
Yeah, that's just Pillar trying to go up to make the corner. Then the 60 is what finished him off. And I don't think, credit to Mike Allen, I don't think there was a whole lot he could do throughout all of that mess.
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit of a hapless passenger there at that point, and as you said, really nothing he could do.
So yellow flag number 6 now, coming on after, again, I can't reiterate this stuff, after the last 2 races went caution-free at Kentucky and, of course, the Nashville Super Speedway. Now, I think it's fairly obvious, both those tracks, slower racetracks, passing, especially at Nashville, is a premium. Small field size at Kentucky, it's worth noting, because it was the legacy layout. Let's be honest, who owns the legacy layout of Kentucky nowadays if you're new to iRacing? But it's interesting to see how different the racing style is, just depending on the racetrack, because this field has always been phenomenal, even at high-speed mile and a half like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, on keeping that caution count low. It's very much like everybody's taking a lot of inches and nobody's out here really giving them back. And these cautions don't help things either, because the more you get, the more aggressive your mentality gets, because you realize I'm running out of time. There's probably going to be caution sooner, so I have to make this move sooner. That contributes to there being another yellow flag sooner, and it snowballs.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And that's why the adage, cautions breed cautions. It sounds silly. It sounds a little ridiculous, but it's absolutely true. It's exactly what happens when you're running circuits like this. And it can just come back to bite you here for all of these drivers, because that adrenaline, that eagerness to be able to get yourself up at the front of the field because you think more cautions are going to come, are going to force you to cause another caution in the running.
Well, hopefully, okay. Well, I was about to say, well, hopefully next week we'll be seeing a cleaner race. I just checked the schedule. It's Martinsville. So.
Yeah.
I don't think. You're gone next week, August 19th, aren't you? You're not
I am.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Road America, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? We're going to be having. I'll have this field entertain me at Martinsville. Martinsville is always a treat. It really is. And hey,
it is. It is a great track.
But if you can't settle an argument on the track here in Michigan because you're too afraid you're going to take out the field with you, well, look at that. You got a perfect venue coming on up there.
Exactly.
Still the top 2 remaining unchanged for the longest time now, and that's more because they haven't had any chances to change that lead. You need to kind of build up some of that momentum to go for the race lead here, and none of these guys have already been able to have that chance to build that up. We'll see if they'll get it this time around. 50 laps to go. We're back to green.
Right back to green here. A little bit of a bottled up start there. I see some movement back from the 3rd row. Already some bumps and some pushes starting to go on here at this point. And it looks like Cherry and Howell once again hooking up. They're going to start pushing their way forward here at this point as the field starts to fan out behind them.
I'll give Cherry credit. He knows who to work with. And right now he's looking to work with Christopher Howell. He's going to try to push them clear before he goes to the move himself. That's one thing that Cherry is good at. He's good at picking somebody and trying to work with them to work their way to the front. Usually he likes to link up with his teammates, but if you're the one racing for your team, you got to make people.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of have to deal with it as it comes to you, and that's exactly what he's doing here at this point. Now, it's going to be relatively single file. We've got 2 cars down to the low side here working their way in that main pack, but it looks more clean and consistent than we've seen it from previous runs.
Lap 42. Raymond looking to power around the top side. Dylan Simmons tracking up from the bottom. The top 4 going to single file out. Simmons looking to potentially go for that race lead down to turn number 3. A big bump from Raymond to Howell. That's going to allow for Simmons to open up the door. Further behind, James Millen finally losing out on the top 2 as he's now at risk of losing the top 5 as Slagle will shoot to the inside.
Yeah, Slagle's going to come down to the inside here, trying to get a little bit of a run as they come across the line in that 0.52. Looking a little bit of no man's land there. Oh, up at the front there, Raymond's got to be a little bit careful. That was almost a bad bump coming into the corner.
Raymond losing the lead to Dylan Simmons that last time by as well. So now Raymond will have to track up and try to take that lead back. IEL to the back straightaway. We are 3 wide behind them. We were for a moment at least, as I believe that was the 15 that tucked out a line and decided to fade further back. This is how aggressive these restarts have been. You're right, though. It has been a much more consistent restart. I think a lot of these drivers finally starting to realize it's about time we settle things down.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think now that we're closing in on that halfway point, it's going to be a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, hopefully, here at this point. And they're going to try to just go to the end. Almost a little bit of a coming together there, a little bit 4 or 5 back in the field. I think that was Jerry and Hales that almost got into each other.
And they're not done yet. They're going to continue to scrap it out down the back straightaway. The 9 trying to find some way to get through for John Holiday as this is starting to get a bit more intense around the midfield, right around the last spots, in and around the top 10. You see that Schamberger still working inside the 15. He's going to be able to pull clear for the 9th spot. Slagle running up there right behind Mike Allen. Hales and Cherry also in the fray. All the fight at the moment is in the mid-pack.
Yeah, it certainly is. The front pack here is pretty much calmed down at this point. You've got to be very careful, though, if you're running down on that low line, like we see the number 38 doing here at this point, and that's Thomas Lane Jr., you've got to watch out for washing up the track. There, you can see it. Perfect example. But look at this up at the front of the field, starting to get a little bit more spicy.
Matt Cherry tucked in the middle of 3 wide. Slagle on the bottom, Mike Allen on top. That's almost going to be 4 as the 40 of Bill Hales almost got into the fray. Hales is going to go way up to the high lane. You can get a pretty good momentum when you're on the outside line, but not that far to the outside line. So Hales will try to reset here down to turn 1. Slagle still working the bottom. I think Allen will be able to clear the both of them here into turns 1 and 2.
He will as well as they keep coming their way through the corner right now. Let's see if he's got it. Little bit of a push there up on the top. Doesn't look like it's going to be a full clear yet. Now it does.
Now will maintain that run man. Now can he close up the 6-10 gap up to James Miller. Go for a spot inside the top 5. Go for a podium. Slagle hitting pit road. He's not the only one. Look out as the 7 slides it out. He's going to go into the infield grass. Howell will hit pit road as well. And we have our first green flag stops on the 9th and a disastrous one for James Miller, who takes to the infield.
Yeah, and that is going to completely scupper not only his strategy, but his race as he tries to get that car going back up to something resembling full speed. But remember, that grass is so slippery, so slick, he's really not going to be able to get the chance to do it.
Sam works his way all around pit road. That effectively means he'll be down a lap by the time he manages to get fully through. Meanwhile, the rest of your midfield continues to scrap it out amongst themselves. Matt Cherry will fade to pit road. We're seeing a lot of the guys that did not pit under the latest string of cautions pitting this time by. So this is all scheduled stops that we're seeing here. They were banged, I think, on a couple more yellows to get them further into their fuel strategy. It hasn't worked out that way, though. So now Cherry will be down into pit road. Everybody else starts to cycle out right into the thick of the fighting.
Yeah, right into the absolute thick of this. And remember, they're going to be a lap down here at this point, so they're going to probably want to get out of the way as much as possible, but not lose the draft to the rest of this field.
I think Brad Slagle able to find a nice spot to tuck into right behind Jack Stanley here. Tuck in line and keep with this main pack and just keep momentum moving. Roberts to move his way further up. He's got Thomas Lane Jr. attacking from behind. He's trying to go over against Virginia Cannon. Buchanan looking to pinch in the number 38.
Yeah, trying to get a little bit of that pinch there, preventing the other driver from taking the optimal line, and it's going to work out there for the moment, going to hold ahead of Ryan McRoberts, but here they come. Buchanan trying to take a look down to the inside of John Walda Jr.
Walda ripping up on that fourth seam, and now Buchanan tracks up. Got to be careful of that one. Walda comes down to cover. John Walda Jr. will maintain that run, and he'll secure a top 10 for the time being. 40 laps to go. This next time by, we are past halfway, and we're finally past halfway at that, as this race has it's been a bit of a slow burn as it rolls, as with all the yellow flags we've been having thus far. You can see Matt Cherry trying to work his way past some lead lap traffic in the background. Link up into the press lane.
Yeah, it looked like those two were trying to sort of communicate with each other there a little bit, but now the 48 going to dive down to the inside here, going to get that little bit of a slider as we've got more drivers coming down into pit lane. That's going to be the number 6 there of Aaron Raymond.
So Raymond now the next driver to pit on lap number 51 for his third pit stop of the night. So Raymond, this is going to be a big one here, as he's going to be looking to see if he can't cycle his way back through the rest of the That might not be for a few laps yet, as these guys have been out there for a while, and we last saw much of the pit on lap 24. Still wrapped with pit on 38 along Robert Jordan and Julian Lewis.
Yeah, so they may be able to make this last a little bit longer, but more and more drivers coming down into pit lane. Looks like Schamberger and Simmons, the latest two to throw in the towel.
So we are right in that first green flag pit stop cycle, I do believe, at this point. So now it's just a matter of time when the one of the top runners coming on in. Everybody else starting to file suit, trying to keep on the same strategy and see if they can set themselves up again for positions later on in this race. Taking a look at Robert Jordan trying to get around Ryan McRoberts on the top side while Neil wrapping Chris Ford. Also go at it before.
Yeah, they're going to start trying to see if they can maybe poke their way ahead here at this point. That's going to be Rapp looking down to the inside, able to get a good run off of the corner. Almost a little bit of a triangle here as they come, though.
And looking to do some trigonometry on the front straightaway there with their trucks as they'll work their way back down over turn numbers 1 and 2. If you're a guy like Dale Rapp, how do you play? Because everybody else is pitting. They're going to be on fresher tires than you. Do you go for the overcut by now and sacrifice a lot of the fuel you just took less than 20 laps ago? Or do you try to pit with everybody else and get yourself onto the same pit strategy?
It's a tough call to make there, and that is why here at this point, Nolan, that I am not the one making this strategy call. My gut instinct would be try to say run this as long as you can. Well, let's see what Rapp decides to do. I wouldn't be surprised if he dives down into pit lane. I also wouldn't be surprised if he stays this out and holds it out a little bit longer.
Honestly, we're kind of on the same page with strategies. I don't know pit strategy at all, so my strategy is quite literally run the tank dry and see what happens. It doesn't usually work out, but then again, I don't usually run races long enough where I need to come down the pit road. So it's a bit of a catch-22 with that one.
Yeah, it really kind of is here at this point. By the way, Mike Allen, the latest driver to come down into pit lane here at this point, and he is going to be getting his service here. It does look like there's a little bit of a pack, though. This is pretty interesting. There's a pack of cars that have come in on the lead, are just off of the lead lap, right in front of our leaders here at this point. So that's going to present a little bit of an interesting situation for our leader at the moment, Bill Hales.
You can see the names in this pack include Mike Allen, who will lead the way, or at least he was. He's the one that just out of pit road there. We got Dylan Simmons now leading the way. Howell, Slagle, Cherry, and Schamberger are some of the 5 names that are running in that little 5-car spree of the moment. This could very well be the grouping that cycle through the race, leaving everybody set it up. So far, everybody else that's pitted, they've overtaken them on the pit exit.
Yeah, they certainly have, and that's going to be a huge boon to him. Looks like here at this point, though, Bill Hale's going to be the latest one to come down into pit lane, as he's going to be coming in by himself. Now, that's going to run a little bit of a concern here for me. As he comes on in, that means that he has got to hope he comes out in some traffic to be able to pick up that all-crucial draft.
Some of this traffic is looking to be slowing itself down here a bit, as R.J. Buchanan and Robert Jordan going to be going side by side here onto the back straightaway. Robert Jordan looking to work with Buchanan down on the bottom. Buchanan going to tuck back in line. I think critically, while they are slowing each other down a little bit by fighting like this, it's not nearly as bad as when you have a whole group of about 10 to 12 going side by side like this. As in fact, I believe we just saw Jack Stanley and John Holliday both bail out of the pit road, so Rapp now leads the way.
All right, so it is Rapp up at the front of the field here at this point. Now, crucially, he's around Robert Jordan, R.J. Buchanan, Thomas Lane Jr., Julian Ballou. These are all drivers that pitted around the same time. Holliday, Stanley, and Buwalda, they also came in around the same time, around lap 34, 36. So we're seeing a split of the strategies here at this point.
And a lot of the drivers that are out right now, they're the ones that waited to pit later in that caution. Rapp and Jordan, the top two, they were the latest two to pit. Joining them on that lap will be Julian Ballou and Greg Pillar, as well as Dale Rapp will now hit pit road. Interesting call from Rapp to come down to the pit road. He is going to sacrifice a bit. While Robert Jordan stays out, he'll get the bonus point for leading a lap.
Yeah, and that's probably a good call. He's going to be cognizant of that to be able to pick up that one little bonus point. You never know what that could mean at the end of the season. Remember, we talked about just how narrow some of these margins are down through the field.
And especially with no playoff system, just a straight points championship, it makes it all the more critical to get every possible point that you can get, which is why it's not uncommon to see some of these drivers that are staying at the back of this field to stay out as long as they possibly can. Brad Slagle is a huge pioneer of that strategy here. Every single race, just about, when it's your usual run-of-the-mill green flag run and everybody pits around the same time, he is always, without fail, one of the last drivers to pit just when you get that bonus point for leading a lap. He has been great on fuel saving. It's a shame that hasn't translated into more higher up positions for him in races past.
Well, this may be the one. I mean, this is a pretty fuel-dependent race here from what we're seeing at this point, so this may be the one that strategy could come into play. Got a nice little battle here going on right now. Howell, Cherry, and Slagle look like they're all trying to sort themselves out, trying to work their way around right now, and playing well together. That is the key here. They are working almost as a team to try to get themselves up forward.
And as say that, Cherry goes to the outside to completely ruin the teammate dynamic of this whole thing. And Howell looking to take a bit of a wider entry there, not allowing for Cherry to get down so much. Jordan, Ballou, and Pillar all down and in. That will allow now Dylan Simmons to cycle through to take the overall lead of this race back. But look how nobody's with them. If Rain can fall back to the trio there, they can start working together, they could easily catch Simmons in just a handful of laps.
Yeah, they very well could. By the way, our answers are coming true here. Jordan, Ballou, and Pillar all coming down into pit lane here at this point.
And these were some of the last drivers we were waiting. These were the last drivers we were waiting on to come down and into pit road. So Ballou, Pillar, and Hales all down and in for service as we'll start to work our way back out. And I believe we'll still have one more pit stop window. That's what the math is telling us at this point. So we still have another stop coming on up. I would say probably close to 10 to go, just about. We expect to see these guys down to the pit road for the final time. Cherry breezes past Aaron Raymond.
Absolutely flying on by him there at that point. I wonder if Raymond was almost in a fuel save strategy or something like that. Just didn't get that corner right, something, because Cherry looked like he had nitro in that car.
Now that Cherry's up in the point here, let's compare the lap times between himself and the likes of Dylan Simmons over the last little while. And, well, it hasn't exactly shrunk much. I think that could be a test, though, to Cherry trying to work his way up through this field. Now that he's leading the way, though, we'll be able to get that proper look as we'll work back down and around in turn numbers 3 and 4. So far, though, Dylan Simmons has got a healthy margin of 1.5 seconds now. That's more than 6/10 it was before. And I think critically, because he pitted later than everybody else, so he's got the freshest rubber of anybody in this field.
That's a really good call there about that. We'll have to see if that does come in to be true here or what exactly is going to happen. But Simmons looking like he's in the driver's seat here at this point, pun intended. 1.5 seconds in the lead. That's crucially out of that draft range that we talked about.
And we need a bit of help. They want to reel in Dylan Simmons, and right now Cherry does not look like he's willing to work with anybody behind him here, so we'll see what will happen to Cherry. He continues to abandon his tire save and fuel save strategy here. Further down the field, this is the fight for the last spot inside the top 10. Dale Rapp and Julian Ballou have been going head-to-head over the last 7 laps as well. Blue working the top lane. Rap continuing to favor the bottom, and how about that? It looks like an attempted crossover, but Rap's going to cover it off.
Yeah, Rap saw it coming there, was able to hold it off here at the moment, but let's see here if Baloo's going to be able to get a little bit of a good run there. Going to dive down to the inside, going to try to do this the old-fashioned way, but slamming the door is Rap. No room at the end.
And when one door closes, another one opens. Unfortunately, it's not for Julian Baloo, as Chris Gore attempted to have a look down the inside of that number 51 Toyota Tundra down to turn 3. And he will actually have that look down the inside, as instead of taking the door and locking it, Baloo is just going to open even wider, step aside, and say, come on in. Chris Gore sweeps through to pick up 11th. Baloo will try to cut back on the bottom. That's going to be a bold move, though, and I don't think that's going to work out for him. Chris Gore's now got the draft.
Yeah, he's got the draft with those drivers running up on the high side, and now he's going to try to chop off the nose here of the number 51. Gives him some good respect, doesn't completely slam the door on that Toyota Tundra, but as they come out of the corner, it is going to be the momentum that plays out. Look at this up ahead, though. That is Rapp and Allen going at it.
Dale Rapp, again, the last driver to pit. He has the fresh tires out of everybody so far. Actually, sorry, Julian Baloo, fresh tires out of everybody. Dale Rapp with second freshest tires. He is down looking to take full advantage of that, charging after John Holiday now in that 8th spot up the road. And all of this only 8 seconds behind the leaders. So while there's been a bit of a spread, it's not like we're talking the leaders have a half a lap gap with everybody else. It's still relatively close. If Simmons makes a bad error, that gap could shrink in. We could very well be seeing more of these drivers getting involved in that fight for the lead.
Yeah, we very well could. It's all going to be a question of what happens here at this point. And let's not forget here, we probably need another round of pit stops to be able to make it through to the end. The most that we've seen anybody be able to run is 29, and that was over the course of some pretty massive yellow flag running. Ooh, as things get a little bit sketchy, and right on cue, Christopher Harold, Vlad Slagle coming down into the pits.
And that's interesting because they were not out long enough, I don't think, to be able to work their way to the end. So this may very well be them realizing we can go to the end from here. Let's pit now, and then we can just charge it out and just rip it through to the end of this race. So we'll see if this is going to be 4 tires or fuel only for these trucks, and that's looking to be a fuel-only stop. They're not going up on the jacks here.
All right, interesting. So they're clearly just trying to be able to get to the end of the race with fuel, and crucially doing this with a teammate. That's a good call. I like that call. That means you're going to be guaranteed the draft as you come back out and around.
Fight for 8 through 11 is still very much strong as it'll work its way back around to turn numbers 1 and 2. Baloo still trying to fight the bottom. I don't think the inside's really working out, though, for Baloo thus far. He's going to get the door open, but so far the inside's been the place to be if you want to go for a defense. But really, the whole bottom seam just never works, no matter what car you're in at Michigan. You always got to be running that, at least that second lane up.
Yeah, you get down too close on that bottom seam, you're going to find yourself picking up a little bit of understeer, and it's just not going to work out well for you. It's kind of one of the eccentricities of the track. The banking around here, it just doesn't play down on that low line. You've got to move up the circuit a little bit more to really make it play.
You can see all the effects of this one here is the 95 of Jack Stanley trying to look for the inside of Mikey Allen. He's going to be able to send it in, though, and track up. That forces out of the scramble towards the outside wall. I think that's one of the really big things. You can make the inside line work, but only if you're going to do so as a bit of a slide job. And that would involve you crossing right across those bumpers. So essentially, only throw it into the bottom seam if you know you're going to be clear off a 4, like we just saw Stanley.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example there from Stanley. Knew he had the overspeed coming down into the corner, was able to absolutely chuck it on in and get that sort of slide job maneuver to work. Now remember, though, it's high risk, high reward. If you don't get that crossover, if you're not in front of that driver, you got to check your momentum, and you might as well lose 2 positions in the asking.
So all the while, you got this fight for now 7th. Back through 10 as a result of a couple more drivers going on down into pit road. Kind of looking around, you've also got Dale Rapp, John Holiday now fighting for 4th. Robert Jordan waiting in the wings as well. And that's going to turn to the 3rd now as Raymond will bail back down to pit road. Coming to 20 laps to go this next time by. Robert Marl and Ryan McRoberts, another pair right here that are looking to get a bit tighter, and this gap's been closing for a while. We might actually see McRoberts fall here to a Marl in just a little while. You see him twitching about, though. That's a sign of mirror driving right there, trying to keep that 54 at bay.
Yeah, exactly. Mirror driving there means you're just checking in your rearview mirror. You're not driving out the front windscreen. You are driving to try to defend from the car behind you, and that is not the fastest way around the circuit by any stretch of the imagination. So not the best way to do that there. Now it looks like going to dive down to the inside. There is a Marl. Nope, not going to have the speed.
Won't have the speed as nobody over here had the draft. Schamberger and Simmons are both also back down into the pit lane for their final stops of the afternoon. So time's starting to run out for a good chunk of this field here as we cycle through our last run of pit stops. It's a very slow trickle, as it so often is when everybody's on such different pit strategies. You get a few coming in one lap, to the next, to the next, to the next, and so on and so forth, all the way until you get through the end of the cycle. In fact, it's so spread out in the pit strategies, we hadn't even been going for 10 laps before we saw the second cycle kick off.
Yeah, we really haven't, and I think that's really a testament to just how much fuel is consumed around this circuit when you're running pretty much at full chat. You've got to be able to back off and manage that fuel. 20 laps is going to be very, very difficult to do for some of these drivers. What we've seen under green flag conditions up to this point is normally about 16, 17 if you're running really well.
So Julian Ballou keeping with it here as we'll keep that fuel strategy in mind and see what everybody's going to be able to do. You are correct, though. Very heavy fuel burning racetrack, and we don't have a lot of tracks where you burn so much fuel with being on the throttle so much as you do here. The next two tracks it's fairly easy to conserve fuel on. Actually, the next three really with Martinsville, New Hampshire, and Phoenix. I think the next real gas burning track isn't going to be until the Daytona International Speedway once again at the end of September for race number 25, and that's obviously going to be the biggest, one of the biggest fuel races all race long. It's going to be our last super speedway race of the season as well, just 4 away from the end of this season. We're only going to have 10 races to go after this one as well. This is a season that has just absolutely flown by, but it has been a phenomenal one. Lots of close racing, lots of different race winners, a tight points battle to boot considering there's no playoff system. It's just about everything you could hope for, really.
Yeah, it really is. And look at just in this race, we're now coming down to the strategy question. Who's going to be able to pull off this fuel strategy correctly? Who's going to make it work? I'll tell you what, it looks like Chris Gore is going to be the latest one to come down into pit lane. And that should put him at about 17 laps to go on fuel. I think he can just make that.
We've seen other drivers come on down, and they haven't really been doing a lot of fuel saving, so I think that about tracks. We should be good to go to the end on fuel at this point from here in this race. And all the pit stops amongst the top 5 have put now Holiday and Rapp in a fight for the on-track race lead. But I'd expect them to cycle through at about, what, 7th, 8th just about by the time we get to the end of our pit stop run here?
Yeah, I think that map should be just about right, but the question's going to be is if they decide to maybe take tires in that last run, is that going to push them up through the field a little bit more? We haven't seen a whole lot of tire strategy coming into play. Track temperatures have actually cooled a little bit. It's down to 88 degrees Fahrenheit as here's a pass for the lead. Rapp down to the inside.
Rapp going to take that one on the inside and not needing the bonus point now to lead a lap. He already has that one. It's not like you get a point for every single lap you lead. If we do, oh boy, the point scout is so much bigger in the points championship as it stands. But Rapp going to once again retake the lead. Is John Holiday thinking about pitting this time by? Answer, yes, he is going to come down into pit row. Wasn't sure if he would. He kind of gets on the line. It's a bit late, but hey, you don't got anybody behind you. There's no need to worry about stacking it up on the racing line.
Yeah, exactly. If you can come on in as they're going to bring their weight down here. Jack Stanley also going to be coming on in as we now focus on a little bit of a battle right now. Raymond and Sherry. Sherry's impressed me here today. Again, we've said one of the newcomers into the series. Obviously, some pretty good credential. Oh! Holiday's made a mistake down in pit lane.
And spinning it around in pit lane. So big troubles for John Holiday in his pit stop run. And we'll be able to jump back. We'll get a look at what happened as, well, walk us through it.
Well, it looks like here coming down into the pits, I think he missed his box and then tried to get the car turned back in. There you can see him just kind of inching his way forward, getting it around, getting it into position. did decide to take those tires, so that's a strategy call that we thought may be coming. And I've got a sneaking suspicion we're going to see exactly what happens here is that he just gooses that throttle a little bit too much. It's going to get some rear tire spin out of that truck, and maybe a little bit of traffic he's got to contend with, and now he's finally back out and on his way.
He's fully back and out and on his way here. We'll get a look further back, and we'll actually try to get this one a bit further forward. I believe this would have been on pit entry because it looked like you'd already see the tire marks on the racetrack after the fact. So he's coming to the pit road here, and oh, he locked the back wheels.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. He just came in too hot, applied the brake a little bit too much, and that caused that rear axle to lock, and that's what sent him around.
And that's now effectively killed Holiday's race. He is going to be nowhere near Dale Rapp now when Rapp comes down and through his pit stop run. In fact, Rapp already has come on down and into his pit stop run. And, well, it's not even close. They're on opposite ends of the racetrack down because of that one. And that's detrimental to Holiday. That could trap him a lap down when everything is said and done here.
Yeah, very well could. We're going to have to see, though, what exactly will play. We've got a little bit of a battle right now. Gore and Stanley trying to be able to sort themselves out a little bit. Gore up on the high side, Stanley down low, trying to make that sort of rainbow machine work a little bit more as they come down in. Now, as I take a look at them, they stopped at laps 73 and 75, respectively. I think that's enough to make it to the end.
Stanley getting a bit crossed up on the exit of turn number 2 there in the back straightaway. So he's not having himself the best of runs in this battle, and that's going to give Gore enough gap to be able to stretch his legs with this. Patrick Schamberger right behind, trying to go after Dale Rapp, but Rapp, having just pitted, I think is going to easily take off as there's about a 6-lap difference on tires there. Baloo will come down with 12 laps left to go. So Julian Baloo will be the next driver to come on down, and then Robert Jordan is just in behind as well. Now the first truck 1 lap down. I believe that will do it for second run of pit stops, and from here it's just about down to the end, and Baloo almost doing the same thing that we just saw Holiday do.
Baloo may want to go buy a lottery ticket after that because that's about the luckiest run down into pit lane I have ever seen.
And now Bill Hales losing the lead to Dylan Simmons on the racetrack, and that was an on-track pass over there for the lead as well. Hales did come out in front, and unfortunately, it was the likes of Simmons that get around him. Sorry, Bill Hales getting around Julian Baloo now. This is how this pass happened, coming off of working our way in towards turn number 1, coming off of turn 4. I don't think we'll be able to get that one here, but it was a pass for the lead, and it wasn't, I think, one that Dylan Simmons is going to be too happy about because he's looking to charge back after Hales.
Yeah, he's definitely making the move here at this point. We saw that monster gap that Simmons had earlier on in the race. He wants to reestablish it here at this point. He's just got to be a little bit patient. We've got about 10 laps to go. He doesn't need to make this all up at once. Aaron Raymond about a second behind. He can take his time on this move.
And Aaron Raymond eagerly watching on. He's hoping these guys start to really duke it out with one another, and then he'll be able to attack at the end. I'm telling you what, though, this is giving the Ole Miss Xfinity Series flashbacks right about now. You have a few cars at the start, a long green flag run, pit strategies right up to the end, and only 2 or 3 cars breaking away for the lead. I hope this one also doesn't end in a last lap melee, but meanwhile, Hales and Simmons will continue to duke it out amongst themselves. We got 9 laps to go.
Yes, we do. Closing down on it here at this point. It is go time for all of these drivers. This is the part where I would expect to see these drivers be a little bit more aggressive and truly get their elbows out.
Well, so far, Simmons giving Hales a lot of room to work with up on the top shelf and compromises entry line down to the 3 and 4. I think Simmons might be taking it a bit easier here, realizing that Hales does have 2-lap fresher tires. Maybe hoping he can get Hales to burn him up so we can try to drive away with it.
That could be a potential strategy here. Not entirely sure. Let's see what he decides to do. We've got just enough time to let this play out here at this point. So let's see what this strategy is going to be for Simmons here at this point. It looks like he's in the catbird seat, but we'll have to see what he decides to play with.
Hales has just pulled clear, and now he's clear by about 2 truck lengths. So he'll keep it on the I side here down to the 3 and 4 and take that momentum run. And this time by, Simmons not even able to establish a run from the bottom. He'll immediately track up and tuck into the draft. While further behind, Aaron Raymond on some of that old rubber has lost a lot of time. Back to Gore, Baloo, as well as Rapp, who are now all in the fray in the final podium position battle.
Yeah, this is a real scrap here back for P3 at the moment. Raymond holding on to the lead, but Gore with a big move down to the inside.
Gore with the move, and Raymond pedaling it up the racetrack in turn 2. Rapp's going to help out the Camping World Silverado. Baloo giving a shove to the back of Gore. And all the while, Matt Cherry waiting in the wings, seeing if he can't score a top 5 after all of this. And Raymond being pushed along through 3 and 4 by Dale Rapp. Contact off of turn number 4.
I don't think Aaron Raymond's going to like that necessarily. A push through the corners is not made equal. You want to push down the straightaways. You do not want it through the corner. Contact, and there's the spin.
And that's a yellow flag. So all of a sudden, the top 2 battlers close right in. And Aaron Raymond dumped out of the fray. This is absolutely critical now because Raymond is on the back foot. He's already used his quick repair, so all that damage is there to stay.
Oh, this is not good here for Aaron Raymond. This is absolutely disastrous.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a green-white checkered finish in the Truck Series here. I think this would set us up for one. I don't think we're going to quite get there this time by, but if you have another yellow flag, we absolutely would.
Well, it's just about, I think, going to be almost a natural green-white checker. It may be green-green-white checker as it goes. We could be looking at a 3-lap shootout to the end.
We'll get a look on what happened here to Aaron Raymond working to the front straightaway, coming off of turn number 2. This is a bit further down the line as... Here we go, off of 4. Coming to the front straightaway, and who's the one that came with the racetrack and who came down? Oh, I don't think it was any of those. I think Cherry ran Raymond over.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right about that. I think Cherry just misjudged how much speed he had coming off of the corner and didn't really anticipate a checkup. Let's check this again here. Watching Cherry's machine as they come down into the corner. Yeah, he just didn't anticipate it. Did not anticipate Raymond being a little bit slower there.
And that sent Baloo into the outside wall. Cherry to the inside. Raymond also ended up pedaling to the outside wall. I think the big thing is, while that was a fairly sizable wreck, there weren't any really hard hits in there. I think that might be the one thing that could save Raymond's race. Hales and Gore stay out, and that is going to be critical as well, as Robert Jordan will take the lucky dog.
Yeah, Jordan's going to take the lucky dog around here at this point, but I've got to think that the call here for a lot of these drivers is going to... No, it's not. Call me surprised. It's a little bit of a top-off here. I think clearly these drivers are thinking that this is going to go into a multiple green-white checker attempt, and that if that happens, Hales and Gore are going to be caught out.
Well, we saw the caution spree we got earlier in this race. I don't think that's an entirely unfair assumption to make. Oh, boy. Well, it's all going to kick off now. Hales will be in the lead. He and everybody from the 4th place on up did not pit onto this latest yellow flag. Dylan Simmons, the first driver to pit. And Simmons only came down, I think, for a fast repair. And then he came back out. He was only in the box for 3.7 seconds. Unless he was also looking to just top up with some fuel. Aaron Raymond, I think, took tires, though. He was 14 seconds in the box.
Yeah, and that was the call that I thought was going to be there at that point. I thought it was going to be taking tires there was the way to go. But clearly, everybody just deciding for a little bit of a splash and dash there, and calling for those tires is going to be the alternate strategy a little bit.
So as the lights out this time by, that'll determine if this is a natural green-white checkered or if this is going to be an actual green-white checkered. It's one of the two. I'm thinking it'd be lights out this time by, and it is. All right, natural green-white checkered, 2-lap dash. And you've got actually a few trucks. You've got now up to the top 9 all out on old rubber.
Well, now the big question here for that at this point is going to be, once we get back into those drivers that did take that fresh rubber, how quickly are they going to be able to steamroll on by the rest of the field?
That's going to be it's a tough call it's a tough question to answer, right? Because if we were at the end of we're talking about 100% tanks, I would say they would just blitz through them. They only have 10 lap extra tires though, for the ones that didn't even take tires. It's not that it's enough to make a difference. I don't think it's enough though for a 2-lap sprint.
No, I'm not sure if it is here at this point. I don't know if there's going to be enough an advantage. This is absolutely crazy.
I almost have no words as to what is going to be happening as a result of all of this. This is going to be, I think, quite possibly one of the most intense finishes we've had so far on the season. 2-lap dash and a natural green-white checkered finish. The pace truck is into pit road as Bill Hales will lead them to the green flag. And this is where it all gets wild. We're underway for what could be the final time.
Looks like a pretty orderly getaway there. Allen's going to give a little bit of a bump to Bill Hales up at the front of the field, just trying to push him along, give him a little bit of that momentum. The rest of the field here staying 2 by 2 as now they start to fan out coming through turn 1.
Here we go, 4 wide, coming through turn numbers 1 and 2 near the back. We're able to get it a bit sorted for now, but they fan out completely down the back straightaway. You see McRoberts trapped in the middle, trying to find some way to get through. Hale still leads up in front, but he's now under attack by John Holiday.
Holiday down to the inside here, trying to make that line work. Remember, he cannot get that crossover to go. He's got to check his momentum. That's going to give advantage to Allen. Here they come to the white flag. White flag in the air.
Final lap, we will make it back. So this is it. We will end under regulation time. Rapp and Raymond had restarted fractures. They'll fire to pit road. Mike Allen to the inside of Bill Hales into 1 and 2.
And Allen trying to go for that little bit of a crossover, trying to go for that slide jump, but not able to get the clearance that he needs to. He's going to have to check his momentum. We've got a wreck there behind.
Big crash coming out of turn number 2. We'll keep with the leaders. We'll take a look at that later. Mike Allen to the inside of Bill Hales. Here comes Chris Gordon. Does he have any momentum up on the top side? Bill Hales still trying to track through on the outside line. We worked out of turn number 4. Does he have a crossover? We wreck again off at turn number 4. To the line, it's a drag race, and Mike Allen takes win number 1 of the season.
Absolutely incredible patience there from Mike Allen. We talked about how he needed to get that move absolutely timed right. Tried it coming through 1 and 2, and then waited, and pulled it off down to 3 and 4.
What a move for Mike Allen to take the race win. We'll get a look on what happened on the final lap here coming around throughout everything that happened deeper in the field. This is going to be from the start-finish line and onward as it started with Robert Jordan deeper in the pack and a hard wreck coming around through turn numbers 1 and 2. And I think this one came about when he just tracked up across the nose of John Bualda Jr.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Just came down to the inside there and absolutely had nowhere to go.
And then meanwhile, up front, coming around in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. It all got a bit messy up at the front. Cherry got turned hard at the outside wall. McRoberts got collected, and as this field was caught scrambling across the start-finish line in what was a huge wreck. And they're able to just make it around and back. But for Mike Allen, he burns it down as a race winner for the first time in the TNGG IEL Truck Series.
And well-deserved here at this point. Enjoy it, Mike Allen. You deserve it.
The Team Alpha 1 driver sets Brooklyn alight as he will burn it down on the front straightaway. We'll take a look at your official post-race results after a barn burner of a race here at the Michigan International Speedway, where we had the likes of Mike Allen taking the race win by 64 thousandths of a second over Bill Hales. John Holiday brings it up in third to wrap out the podium. We'll talk to all of them in just a few moments. Chris Gore will wrap it out in 4th. Dylan Simmons was in 5th. Christopher Howell was in 6th. Patrick Schamberger picks up 7th on a good race for him. 9 spots up in the top 10 in his series debut. Brad Slagle was crossing the line sideways in 8th. Greg Pillar was 9th. Thomas Lane Jr. was in 10th to wrap out the top half of the field.
Jack Stanley came home in 11th, followed by Julian Ballou, getting down into some of these drivers that got into some incidents over the course of today, and indeed on that last lap. Then it was Ryan McRoberts, Robert Amaro, Aaron Raymond, who fell all the way down to 15th, Robert Jordan, Matt Cherry, who was another name that we were calling quite a bit here tonight, and then Philip Isaac in 18th, John Bawalda Jr. in 19th, James Moon there in P20, then Dale Rapp 2 laps down, and RJ Buchanan, who was a DNF on the night.
And that will do it then for your podium runners, and we'll be able to talk to all of them here in just a few moments. But again, holy cow, what a race we had in this one. And this was, it got insane on the last few laps. We were wondering if they were going to make it back. They just barely managed to make it back around to the line. And we'll be able to get in touch now with Mike Allen, the race winner at the end of the night. And holy cow, Mike, I don't think we were expecting to see this race go down like that, as you are somehow able to take it home with the race win on a last lap pass coming around through turn number 3.
The truck was pretty good there. I was a little off sequence with everybody else with my fuel strategy there, and it ended up paying off for me there at the end.
Kind of walk us through, because obviously it was an intense race for you, especially in the closing laps there. What did those last 2 laps look like as you were trying to really chase down Bill Hales for the win?
I tell you, I was really hoping that we weren't going to get another caution there, but Bill's a good friend. He's a good racer, and I think he helped me win that race there. He got behind me there, and I think he helped me win it though. The high line was good, man. You could make a lot of time on the high line for I don't know, the setup was pretty good.
Well, you're able to make a lot of ground on the outside lane, and at the end of the day, it's part of what helps you to take that race win here in Michigan. Next week, we slow it down, but the caution count will probably only get higher as we'll swing down to the paper clip. What do you think you'll have to do to see if you can't go maybe even back-to-back in Virginia?
Boy, that's a tough one. You can stay out of trouble there. Qualify good and stay out of trouble there. It's a tough place to pass, but I don't know. I like Martinsville, so we'll see what we got here in this number 60.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing big things for the Team Alpha 1 Silverado. Thanks for joining us up here in the broadcast booth. Congratulations once again on the race win.
Thank you so much.
That was Michael Allen joining us up here from Victory Lane. We'll move on down, try to track down where Bill Hales is in his number 40 machine, as I don't actually believe we'll be having Bill Hales able to join us here up in this one. I'm not seeing him sticking around, so it looks like he's not one to talk to us here in this one. We will be able to, however, get a chat with John Holiday, the driver of the number 9. Finishes it out on the podium. DJ, you're standing by with number 3.
I am indeed, John. A great run there for you out on the day, up 7 positions, and it looked like there you almost had second at the very end.
Well, I was trying. Mike and Bill, I know them, for a long time, and I wasn't going to cause any problems. So I was trying, but, hey, it's a good win for Mike, and I'll take third out of that.
Well, as we carry this on here at this point, we kind of go for an absolutely massive change going into Martinsville next week. Do you think you can carry momentum there into the short track?
Yeah, because I like that track. So it's just staying out of trouble. So just got to qualify up towards the front, stay up at the front, and just stay out of the problem. If you're running lap traffic, hopefully they get out of your way. Did I lose you?
We may have lost DJ Clark on that one, but for now, thanks for joining us up here, John. Again, what a great night it was for you, and you mentioned, obviously, Martinsville coming on up. What can we expect to see from the number 9 truck as a whole coming on out towards the end of the season?
Just staying up at the front, staying out of trouble. That's the key. So, new number tonight, so let's see what I can do with it.
We'll wish you all the best then, as we'll get set to work things out over in the final few races here. We got 10 to go. Hopefully we'll be talking to you on the podium before the end as well once again. Thanks for joining us up here tonight. Congratulations on the third.
Thank you so much, sir.
That was John Holliday joining us up here in the broadcast booth from third place. Still no sign of Bill Hale, so I do not believe we'll be able to talk to our second place finisher tonight. A bit of a shame on that one, but I think overall a successful race all night long, and I wouldn't have had that one go down any other way, DJ.
No, nor would I. A little bit of cautions early on, but I think really and truly what that did is it opened up the strategy for us and really made for that fantastic run to the finish. So I got to agree with you. No better way to do this.
Well, 1 week from now, we'll be swinging on up to the Martinsville Speedway for the second race there on our 2023 TNGG IEL Truck Series campaign, and it'll be an intense ride for 210 laps around the world's fastest paperclip. Next week, there's a lot coming to Green Flag TV. The High Tide Racing League kicks off on Monday night, and Austin Edstrom will be joining me over there for our new Monday night series. The Home Smokes Xfinity Series goes road course racing down to the Glen, as well as the Speed Cup Series on Thursday. Between the pair of them, how about the Beer League? Kicking off on Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be a fun race for them. And don't forget, next week as well, the Pro Kart Concepts Road Challenge Series on Monday nights. We'll get set to go racing as well right before the MF Racing Designs Cup Series. For now, though, here from Michigan International Speedway on Green Flag TV, my name has been Nolan Red Bull alongside DJ Clark. Thank you for joining us. We'll wish you a happy rest of your weekend.